What's going on, everybody? It's Dog the Gamer here, bringing you guys another Bengals video after a 2-year hiatus because of some personal problems, but I'm back and thought we'd get right into it because it's going to be an interesting year. I feel like this is the best time to come back after dealing with some issues in my life, and we're going to be talking about the Bengals and some predictions for this year. Or at least record-wise. I plan on, hopefully doing some videos later on talking about players, statistic predictions I have for the year. But if you guys have never seen my channel, which you probably haven't, because what's weird is I decided to quit at, I would say, the highest point of my channel, which was still at the beginning, but I was actually getting decent views on my Bengals videos. But hey, anxiety is a bitch, and it kind of grabbed a hold of me, and let's just say I've lost about 2 years of my life just being completely ravished by that, and depression and a few other things. But anyway, you guys won't want to hear about that. The world's already depressing enough, and well, football is just around the corner. As long as no catastrophes happen and COVID decides to take away everything we love, we should be getting some pro football. So I thought I'd go through the Bengals schedule, kind of like what I did 2 years ago. Prediction was vastly horrible, and I thought I was being very optimistic. I predicted the Bengals would go 9-7, and I think it was 2018. If I remember correctly, I think we went 6-10, 7-9. I'd have to pull it back up, but it'll be on the screen right now. Yeah, my traditional professionalism is here again, but I thought I'd go through this year, and a lot of things have changed in 2 years. One thing that is just really weird is Marvin Lewis is not the head coach. And, now we have a new quarterback. And it's just an exciting time to be a Bengals fan. So we're just going to get right into it. And we're going to go game by game. And I'm going to try to predict at least the wins and losses. I ain't going to even talk about scores until we get into the season. And I'll try to give some realistic predictions. But, of course, everything's going to be skewed because I am a Bengals fan. I get it. If you're watching this and you're not a Bengals fan, just realize, yes, this comes from a place of being a fan of the team, but I will try my damnness and probably fail of being realistic because the last 2 years have kind of broken me. Not just from my own problems, but because this team has broken me and way underperformed what I thought they would. Some of those due to injuries, others just because I guess I'm dumb. But anyway, we're going to get on to week 1 versus the Chargers. Now, I have a lot of opinions about how this game is going to be, but over the last 3 weeks, as we've had some developments on whether, we'd have a preseason or not, and what we would be looking forward to start the season with no preseason, I unfortunately, I'm going to have to say the Bengals are going to start off the year with a loss. It is the most realistic way of looking at this. The Bengals, I think on paper, have the best team they've had in years. Since the 2015 team, or 2014, 2015 team, our team looks pretty good. Defensively, vastly overhauled. I'll talk about that one. I'm talking more of player predictions, but offense, vastly overhauled as well. Players are healthy again. Receiving core is looking good. Joe Mixon's our running back, and now we have the supposed savior. I'm really looking forward to seeing Joe Burrow play, and unfortunately, I just think that this young team with a lot of key rookies and players only going into their second and third years, and our veterans are aging and typically injured anyway, so there's not really much to expect out of them going against a generally very tough defense. I just don't see Joe Burrow succeeding that early on, as much as he was fantastic last year in college football. NFL game's different. It's faster, harder hitting, players are just smarter as well. And while I think Burrow will pick it up, and by the end of the year, we'll know that we finally have a franchise quarterback, I just think week 1 against that great and stout, I almost called him San Diego. I'm still doing that. I just can't help it. The great LA line, the great Chargers line, and our horrible offensive line, which is somehow still horrible. But hopefully it'll be better with Jonah Williams. I just don't see us pulling that one out. Especially because, Tyrod Taylor's going to be their starting quarterback to start off the year. While I think Herbert will be at least a decent quarterback for their team, it is definitely the right choice going with the established veteran who is not the greatest, but I think he'll do a lot better than Philip Rivers did last year. So I think they have a lot better chance at beating us. And a lot of these early games are going to be going that way because without a preseason, our team is young, a lot of new players have never played together. And it's just going to affect how they gel and, play early in the year. So I got us losing against the Chargers week 1. Week 2 against the Browns. God, do I hate to say this, but the Browns look like a good team. Again, I thought this last year, and I wasn't posting videos, but it's just a weird thing to say that the rosters look good 2 years. They've basically fixed the one problem they had last year, and that was their offensive line. They went out and got some key players in the draft and free agency. Now it's do or die. Baker Mayfield's got to prove that, he's an elite quarterback. He had that great rookie year, and, he's got all the weapons. He's got the line, and defense is pretty good. So against our team early in the year, I don't see us winning. This is going to be the simplest way to put it. We just don't have the talent yet. We don't have, the experience on the offensive side of ball with a quarterback, and with the new coach who's still filling it out. I have some faith in Zach Taylor. Not a whole lot, honestly, but I still think he's going to be filling it out with his new quarterback early in the year. So Browns take week 2. Week 3 versus the Eagles. Again, I'm really not optimistic to start this year, and the Eagles have one of the best defensive lines in the league after their acquisitions in the offseason. Honestly, this is just 3 really great defensive lines, and this is what's going to honestly determine who I pick to actually win a lot of these games. Is I have no faith in our offensive line. Our best player might be, for all intents and purposes, a rookie. Our left tackle Jonah Williams, who missed all of last year, and Our second best player is at best an average offensive lineman, and that's Trey Hopkins. I have no faith in this offensive line, and you're facing 3 elite defensive lines 3 weeks in a row. And while Burrow is leaps and bounds at going off script and making plays with his feet, and keeping the play alive, Burrow is way better than Andy Dalton was. So much you can ask any one player to do. I will say, a lot of these can change if somehow the offensive line just plays leaps and bounds better than how they've been playing. If Jonah Williams is really actually that good in his rookie year and secures the left tackle spot, and somehow, you got Trey Hopkins getting a little bit better from being just average, and you got our left and right guards, maybe taking some leaps to being, at best, below average to average, we'll only have one really bad weak spot, and that's right tackle, which I don't see going anywhere with Hart, who is somehow as bad as Oboye, and it's just terrifying to think we've had 2 bad right tackles forever. But I guess that's part of being a Bengals fan. But I just, even if players are playing at best average, these are 3 elite defensive lines. I think Burrow's going to be running for his life, and the offense is still going to be feeling their way through in the first half of the year. So, Eagles beat the Bengals week 3. And I know I'm rambling a bit. Again, guys, sorry. This is like my first video back in 2 years, 3 years. I've done some little test streams of video games and stuff. And, I may be posting those throughout the time. But this is like my first video back. And I'm basically just shooting from the hip. I don't have a script or anything. I'm completely ad-libbing this. And I know I'm doing horribly. Week 4. I do think the Bengals get their first win because the Jaguars have literally just imploded since their playoff run, which I was right. In that video, in my videos, I said 2 years ago, the Jaguars got lucky. I wholeheartedly believe that. They had a decent lobby. Oh my God. They had a decent team. I do not know what is wrong with me. My brain does not work sometimes, but they had a decent team. And, they got pretty far, but pretty far. They went to the AFC Championship, I believe, that the year before I started making these Bengals videos. They've just been in the shitter since, and they've lost all their good teams, all their good players. Oh my brain does not like to work. I might have to start scripting these videos, or at least making bullet points. I don't know, or just maybe work through some of these nerves. Part of the reason why I left was because of anxiety, and I am fighting through that right now, trying not to freak out and end the recording. But anyway, the Bengals have a vastly superior team, players, coach, I would say, is better as well. The Jacksonville is, I think, purposely or maybe just as an organization trying to be the worst team in the NFL this upcoming year. Only other team that's imploding from a leadership standpoint more than them is, I'd say, Washington or maybe Houston, but Houston's got the players behind it. Man. But, this is something about the Jaguars as an organization. Is it Shadiq Khan or Khan, their owner? Since he bought AEW in wrestling, it's just something about the team has been pretty horrible. Maybe his attention's split, but I don't think he made many football decisions anyway. But it's just a weird thing about the same time that AEW became a thing behind the scenes. They've been horrible, completely horrible. But I just see the Bengals starting to turn it all together in Week 4. I see Burrow finally probably starting to pick it up. I could be wrong. He could just be great from the get-go. That's the irrational part of me thinking that, but excuse me. I have some heartburn here. That is a great part of having anxiety is get some heartburn and acid reflux pretty easily. But I just think compared to their offense, compared to our defense, which I think is going to play really well in these first 3 games, and I think our offense will put up a fight. I should probably preference those 3 losses by saying we will compete. I think every game this year we will compete. I don't think we'll ever get blown out. We'll at least be within a touchdown, to 2 touchdowns away at most. At most, we'll lose by 14 points, which is not a good amount of points to lose by, or just to lose anyway. But I don't think we'll be blown out this year. The toughest team we're going to play is within our own division. That's the Ravens. I still think this defense is designed in a way to stop them, and I think our offense is vastly superior than it was last year, which bodes well for at least being competitive in all these games. But it's a young team and a young coaching staff, so you tend to lose those games when you combine those 2 factors. So I see him beating the Jaguars. There's just way more talent all around compared to the Jaguars. Jaguars are going to probably get Trevor Siemian. Oh my God, Trevor Lawrence. That would be horrible. Where is Trevor Siemian? I'd have to look that up. What team is he playing for? I might put that up on the screen right now. What team he plays for, if at all. But Trevor Siemian, jeez, my brain is really stuck in 2018. Week 5 against the Ravens this is not even. Well, we're not beating the Ravens, not anymore. I used to think, well, we usually split or would win our series with the Ravens during the Marvin Lewis era. Not happening anymore. Just not this year. Our team may be designed to compete against the Ravens. They just got way more talent, and they didn't get worse. They got better in the offseason. Their only deciding factor is if, Wow, I'm just completely blanking out. If their quarterback. Wow, this is bad. You go to clear your throat and think about who their quarterback is. This is where I stop and then start again because I'm too dumb to remember something. But we're gonna stop the recording. I'm gonna have to look this up. And I'm back, and it's really bad when you forget the guy who won the MVP last year. Anyway, you have Lamar Jackson, and it's going to depend on whether he continues to stay healthy. I don't think anyone who runs as much as him is going to ever stay healthy. There are reasons why more contact-heavy positions get injured all the time, and their careers are a lot shorter, like running backs and quarterbacks, and he runs just as much as any running back in the league, roughly, I'd say. Well, not as much, but let's just say he runs quite a bit, and the yards really do back that up. And Wow, I'm still dumbfounded that I forgot Lamar Jackson. But the Ravens, their overall success is going to determine if he continues to stay healthy, and I don't know if he can still do it in the playoffs, but the Bengals have no choice, no choice about having any chance really against them this year. And man, this video is definitely proving to be one of those. Probably should have scripted it. Probably should have thought it more through. But the only way to start to do these things is to jump right into it, and I wanted to make videos again, so I'm jumping right into it. Anyway, moving on to week 6 against the Colts. This is actually a pretty toss-up game. Philip Rivers taking over for the Colts after the whole Andrew Luck debacle. Still understand those boos, but it is what it is. I can see this going either way. I think the Colts have a great defense, and they got some decent skill position guys, but this is really just it's going to determine whether Philip Rivers has a resurgence. Honestly, I don't see it. Philip Rivers is one of those underrated guys who never really went anywhere. Whether because of coaching or other factors. And I feel bad for him because he's had talent on his teams. He probably should have been in a Super Bowl at least once in his career, but never did. I don't see him leading these Colts anywhere, really, honestly. So I see the Bengals winning this. This is about a part in the about the time in the year where Burrow would have gotten enough games to start getting a feel for how it works, how the league works, and we'll start seeing that talent that we saw in college, poke its head out. Week 7 against the Browns, while I think the Browns are a vastly superior team, I do think we will split at least one game with them. Honestly, it might be the only game we win in the division, but I think we'll at least beat the Browns in week 7. We'll split one with them. Week 8 against the Titans. I'm going to start keeping water by me when I'm doing long videos, apparently. I don't miss that part about making videos, is trying to talk constantly and how my mouth gets dry. And my throat gets all itchy. Week 8. The Titans. That offensive line is going, even with our vastly better defensive line that we've built over the last couple of years, rebuilt, I should say, and, got some aging pieces on there. I think this defensive line is going to be one of the best lines in the league. I think the Titans are just going to run down our throats. But I think there's a good chance we could win that game, but they're going off a rest, and we're starting to get into the second half of the season, and traditionally that's when Derrick Henry just decides to bulldoze over everyone in his path. First half of the season, Derrick Henry's taking it a little easy, typical power running back guy, needs more carries, more, snaps to get better. Titans, I'm sorry. After what they did in the playoffs last year, I ain't betting against them. Don't expect them to, go to Super Bowl or anything, but our team was the worst rush defense in the league last year. May have added some guys, but you don't go from being the worst to the best, and that's more or less what it takes to stop the Titans when it comes to, Derrick Henry. So, loss in week 8. Bengals ain't looking too good. They're looking at 3-5 right now, but I don't have that high hopes this year to begin with. Week 10 against the Steelers. I hate to mention it, but Steelers got our number. They've had our number for the last 20 years. Minus a game here or there. Big Ben's back. As much as I think he's an overrated player at this point in his career, he's definitely better than Mason Rudolph, and Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges beat us last year. And yeah, the team looks better, but when you lose to that caliber of a quarterback, they got one of the best defenses in the league, and until we can prove we can win, I ain't going to predict us to even beat them at this point, because there's just no point. So, their offense is looking to take a step back forward with their quarterback coming back, and their defense hasn't gotten any worse. So, Hopefully by this point, though, maybe this could turn into a win. Our team could finally got, enough, momentum. Hopefully no injuries, but we're the Bengals. By this point, we'll probably have, 2-3 missing, key players. We already got players in training camp right now who are off the team because of either injuries or just family reasons, and they have to be there for their family. Like John Ross, wife and son got COVID, so he decided to be with them in LA. He probably won't even get to play week 1 or week 2, maybe. I don't know. It depends whether he catches it or how long it takes him to go through those protocols, because he still has to, practice a little bit with the team. So by then, we'll probably lose some receivers and other key positions. Week 11 against Washington football team. I keep wanting to call them the Redskins, but they are formerly the Redskins. Now they're just the Washington football team. It's an intriguing thing because Alex Smith just got reinstated, cleared to play again. I always thought Alex Smith was a severely underrated quarterback, but never that guy was ever going to jump into elite. I'd like to say he was a better version of Andy Dalton. And he's definitely a better quarterback than Dwayne Haskins. If Dwayne Haskins is playing at this point and he's not taking a step forward, it is an easy win, I think, for us. Ron Rivera can only do so much, and that organization is a literal dumpster fire coming from a fan of a dumpster fire organization who might be taking that step forward ourselves. I think it's possible, but I don't know. Dan Snyder is by far one of the worst owners in the league, and I just don't see them doing much. But let's say, hypothetically, Alex Smith takes Dwayne Haskins' job, which won't be that big of a stretch, honestly, if he's even remotely at the skill level he was when he had that horrible injury, and Dwayne Haskins hasn't taken that step forward. But I still think we have a better team and a coaching staff that is in their second year together. Ron Rivera is definitely a more seasoned coach who's had more success, but he's still building a whole new staff, and that entire organization is dealing with controversy after controversy after controversy. I don't see them being that great this year. I see another lackluster year for Washington, but I'm going to be interested in seeing how Chase Young does against our offensive line, because he's going to be a rookie, but at this point, rookie pass rushers they're constantly good at this point, especially ones out of Ohio State. The Bosa brothers and now Chase Young, and, hell, our own Sam Hubbard, it wasn't a first-round pick, but defensive linemen that come out of Ohio State just come out churning out sacks left and right. It's going to be an interesting game for an Ohio State, Bengals fan, to see how that will all turn out. So, I'm going to give Week 11 to the Bengals. Week 12, Giants are a weird team that I could see them being really good or really, really bad. It just depends on whether that offensive line has gotten any better and whether Daniel Jones has learned how to not fumble every other play. Because he had an impressive rookie season, take out the fumbles. I have eaten so much crow on that. I thought that was the dumbest pick I've ever seen, ever in the history of football. With all the other players that the Giants had at their disposal to pick and other quarterbacks, but they got an interesting team. The defense is not the worst in the world, and if the offensive line has improved, their offense could be pretty scary. But I honestly think the Bengals have a better team on paper, and I don't know. Maybe this is just the homer part of me. Yeah, they did better technically than us last year, but they were still god-awful. And I always have to take into account, this is my prediction minus, no injuries. And our team without injuries, our team just seems to get saddled with injuries every year. Last year, we were without great players throughout, starters and, all-stars and, Pro Bowlers out, on our team last year. And this seems to be the case every year, whether it's A.J. Green or offensive linemen or, corners left and right. I think overall our team's a bit better, and there's only so much you can expect Saquon to do, especially behind that horrible offensive line. It's just the same thing with Joe Mixon. And we've made attempts to make it, to sign and draft a defense that can stop the run, and it's about all they really have. Daniel Jones has played great, but again, that's based on the fact that, has a great running back, opening up that passing game for him. And this is we're going into the second half of the year. I see the Bengals starting to pick up some steam. So they win week 12, and looking at about 5-6 right now, 12 weeks in. Week 13 against the Dolphins. Oh, man. The weirdest game for last year, where I wanted us to lose, and then by the end of the game, I wanted to win because the game was that interesting by both teams trying to lose. And at that point, I wanted Joe Burrow. And no one really wants to lose a game, but at the same point, we were doing so bad at losing on purpose. At least that's what I'm hoping we were trying to do. Otherwise, we were just horrible. I just wanted to win the game at that point, because does it really matter at this point? Because, just a bad organization in general. This is probably the lowest point for me last year. Dolphins made a lot of key additions in their offseason, spending tons of money in free agency, kind of like us, except, I'd say spending a little too much on less names. Like, they got some higher name talents, and, Byron Jones and whatnot, but honestly, I have to say their free agency was a bit overrated. But they're an intriguing team. I'm really hoping by then Tua's playing. This has a chance to be one of the most entertaining games of the year. Burrow versus Tua, round 2. And I see the Bengals at this point. Since Burrow is going to be playing the entire year at this point, because, he's basically already our day one starter. We've already really confirmed that. And Tua has not been named the day one starter. I believe he's not going to be starting week 1. I think at this point, Burrow would have had more game experience, and the team will be more gelled together with us than it will be for Miami, even though I think Miami's probably a better coach team, because they were so competitive last year with no talent whatsoever. And that's honestly what made last year really kind of embarrassing to be a Bengals fan, because we still had talent, but we were god-awful. But I see week 13 going to us. I see Burrow just at this point being himself that he was from college. So he's going to be winning a lot of those games against bad or average teams. Below average? I'd say below average. The Dolphins, until they really honestly put it together after, the offseasons that they've had, they're still a below average team at best. Cowboys, week 14... could also be an interesting game if Dalton decides to take the job from Dak Prescott. The Cowboys have just way more talent than we do, and McCarthy as their head coach. I don't like the Cowboys any more than any other NFL fan does, especially when it seems like the national media and just every personality that talks about football every other person seems to be a fan somehow. They just got a better team. And I don't see how we would match up player for player. Quarterback, we have the potential of having a better quarterback, but right now both their quarterbacks have technically proven more, than Burrow. And maybe at that point Burrow's proven that he's on their level, because I think Dak Prescott he's underrated and overrated at the same time. He's underrated in certain areas, but I think he's vastly overrated by the national media. Like, he's underrated by the average NFL fan. Like, every normal person, maybe some people that have YouTube channels like me, who's not really that big and have no, insider information. Like, I say people like us underrate him a bit. National media, I'd say, fans of the Cowboys that have gotten into national media, like Skip Bayless and others, overrate him. And then Cowboys fans in general just overrate Dak Prescott. He's a good quarterback. I think he's honestly a great quarterback. Sometimes so he just doesn't do it against the good teams. And honestly, he reminds me a lot of the player they picked up from us. Out of free agency after we released him. That's Andy Dalton, who was our. I don't want to say rock, because he was not great, but he was he was very above average, and he helped keep our team out of mediocrity, over the last 9 years when he was with us. I think this has a chance to be an interesting game if somehow Dalton is the starter. And I want to say the Bengals are going to win this game. And I know I'm rambling at this point, and now I have dogs barking downstairs. I don't see it. I really don't see us beating the Cowboys. I think they just have so much firepower on that offense. This is the year, if Dak's going to prove that he is an elite quarterback, he has no excuse. He has so much talent in the wide receiver room, and he has one of the best running backs, and still a above average to good offensive line, and his defense is pretty good. It's not elite anymore like a lot of people thought it was going to be. It's just there's no excuse why the Cowboys wouldn't beat us at this point. Moving on to Week 15 is Steelers. It's a Monday night game. It might not be a Monday night game at that point. I really want to give the Bengals one win against the Steelers this year, but I can't do it. I can't do it. And until the Bengals can honestly prove to me on a consistent basis that we can beat the Steelers, I can't do it in these predictions. So Week 15 is another loss. Week 16 is against the Texans. Texans have more talent. May have a coach that's trying to sabotage them, but Deshaun Watson is by far one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He literally puts his team on his back, and yes, he's lost some talent, but, some talent. He lost one of the best receivers in the league. I still think somehow Deshaun Watson will put the team on his back and beat us. The Texans seem to do that to us anyway during, regular season, postseason. It doesn't really matter. They seem to embarrass us every other chance they get, so Week 16, giving it to the Texans again, and Week 17 against the Ravens, and I want to split that game as well because historically we usually do split with the Ravens, but our only chance Week 17 is the Ravens resting their players, and we saw what that happened to the Steelers last year, where RG3 beat the Steelers, which was hilarious. Thank you, Ravens, for doing that, but that's our only chance, really. Week 17 is Ravens rest our players, but I'm giving it to the Ravens Week 17, and we now have our final win-loss prediction. 6-10 is my overall prediction for the Bengals this year. I think they'll, that's a vast improvement. It's a 4-game win improvement. I just think this schedule, with our division being the way it is right now, I don't see us doing too hot this year. I will say that our upper, say everything goes right from the get-go, I do think we can reach those 8 wins. 8 wins and, 8 and finishing 8-8. And our basement, if it's like it usually is, because of injuries or, Burrow has a typical, major, rookie year, like a Peyton Manning year where he's throwing tons of interceptions or any other rookie quarterback. I think our floor is probably 3 or 4 wins, another really horrible year, but that happens, probably getting on another offensive lineman, so it's not the worst thing in the world as long as it doesn't affect Burrow or others too much, but, it's going to be a interesting year, if I say so myself. At the very least, I don't see us losing games by tons of points. I think this will be a very competitive year, and it'll be a great learning season for Joe Burrow, and hopefully, we can turn those 6 wins into something closer to 8-8 and technically compete for a playoff spot, since there's an extra playoff spot now. So I'm not saying this team can't be a playoff team. If Andy Dalton can do it in 2011. Wow. I am just all over the place, and, since this is my first video back, I can definitely tell I got some work to do. If he can do that then, I don't see why the Bengals can't do that now. And, I got a lot of faith in this team. Even as a Bengals fan, saying 6-10 does hurt. Honestly, it can be even worse than that. I could see us still, losing, a couple more games, maybe even being 5-11, 4-12, even with not tons of injuries. It's a very tough schedule this year, and, I wouldn't be surprised if we lose every game in the division. I gave us 1 win against the Browns. 1-5 in the division. Not exactly something that's going to be fun to watch, but, the Steelers have our numbers, and the Ravens just look like the best team in the league that's not, the defending, Super Bowl champs, the Chiefs. It's just, I don't see this team doing well within the division. When you don't win your division, you don't do good, plain and simple. These are teams you're playing 6 times a year. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. Maybe not so much more because of the predictions, and let's just say how horribly at times this video probably went, because again, this is my first video back in 2 years. It's not exactly something I even really planned on doing, but I just felt like I wanted to make a video, and I have to throw myself back into it. And next video will probably be more predictions based around the team's players, outlooks for them. I might do those on a player by video basis, or maybe position group, and I'll have an AFC North overall predictions video sometime after that. Hopefully to get these out in the next 2 weeks before our season starts in September. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed. Interesting day so far for me, because I never expected to just decided to just jump right back in and make a video. I can definitely say I feel a lot better since I started. The beginning of this video, I was freaking out, and I still kind of am. And you can definitely tell a lot of my energy's disappeared, and that's probably because the anxiety has sucked all of my energy out of my body, and messing up on the Lamar Jackson thing really screwed with me. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys come back. Is this going to be a Bengals content channel? Yes and no. Eventually I'm going to have to decide what this channel is more than anything, but you will constantly see Bengals content, at least for this year, and hopefully the years come. Maybe I do talk more about football, but I'm not an expert. I'm just an everyday fan like every other person. I do have some knowledge here and there, but I'm coming at this from, a fan's perspective, not from, some guy who's, played 20 years in the NFL, or, someone who has an actual legit background in football, or a self-proclaimed expert in the media who's never played a down of football in their life, But I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys come back. If you did, leave a like, comment. Yeah, definitely comment. Tell me what you think this year's going to be like, more than anything, because, love to have those conversations, and, we can talk about how you guys think the year's going to be. Tell me what you think about the video, how it was. Give me some constructive criticism. Definitely need that, even if it probably will make my anxiety go a little up at first when I see it, because this is the way I am. But you got to get better, plain and simple. People got to give you constructive criticism. And, I hope you guys enjoyed. Ring that bell, subscribe, and hopefully I see you guys in my next video. And Hoo day, and God bless. Hope to see you guys later.